Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the balance changes that I believe need to happen inside of Brawl Stars. So I know I did this video a few weeks ago, but balance changes are surely going to hit soon. It's been nearly 5 weeks since balance changes, so hopefully they will arrive soon. So there's going to be 10 buffs and 10 nerfs I believe need to happen. So yeah, before we get into today's video, make sure you're using a creator code and mom will be greatly appreciated if you use it in the shop when you look to buy a new skin or a battle pass. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Okay guys, so starting off the buff list, and I know you guys are probably going to be thinking that I'm crazy with this one, but I think Edgar really does need a buff. Edgar has suffered in 3v3 meta for a long time now and has one of the worst win rates in the game at high-end trophies and power league. It's hard to make changes to Edgar, else we may see another Edgar apocalypse, but for sure he's in need of some form of a buff. So I would suggest a small HP buff. I don't really want to buff him too much, like 100 HP, else he might just become game breaking. So yeah, just a small adjustment on Edgar. Okay, so next up with Brock. Brock has been out of the meta completely for around 5 months now. He used to be really OP when his gadget first came out, and then they nerfed him quite a lot. And ever since, as I said, he's just not seen in competitive whatsoever. I think the main solution would be to buff his HP. Brock is way too squishy for this meta. Brawlers like Sandy can just completely destroy him in this meta, so probably a considerable amount of HP returned back. Before, he used to be a much tankier brawler. Now he's got the same HP as Spike, so like a 300 or 400 HP boost should be sufficient enough to get him back into the meta. Okay, so next up on the buff list is Leon, and I know he's basically on every single one of these lists every single time balance changes come around, but he never really receives much love. So Leon, as you guys probably know, sucks in 3v3 most, but it's going to be hard to adjust him because he's really strong at the lower end of trophies and can be really rage-inducing for people at the lower end, as I just said. So I'll probably suggest either giving him a good second gadget. As always, I do recommend that. Then probably just messing with his star powers. Again, it was a nice little bit of love they gave to his smoke trail star power and his ability to get his supers much quicker, but still he does suck in those 1v1 engagements, so probably buffing his star powers is the right way to go. So now moving on to Penny, we saw her counterpart Jessie get some huge buffs in recent balance changes and saw her skyrocket in the meta, becoming one of the best brawlers in the game. I'm hoping that soon Penny will have the same effect. So you can obviously buff her in many ways. I probably recommend just probably buffing her damage with her main attack. I don't want her turret being too OP, else it's just going to be too zoning. Like that turret when it's up and safe behind a wall can be really toxic, so we don't want to mess with the turret too much. Probably just give her a bit of love with her main attack damage. As I said, Jessie has been really buffed in the past, so we need a Penny meta. We've not had Penny anywhere near the meta for a long time now. So next up on the buff list is Gale. Gale has been trash in the meta for such a long time now. He's for sure in need of a little bit of love. You've got to be really careful with Gale, as we've seen with the meta about a year ago. He was one of the best brawlers in the game, especially when he charged his super really fast and when he had a good gadget. So kind of want to not move towards those type of buffs. I'll probably recommend changing to his star powers. So maybe the ice cold one, the one that freezes them for 0.3 seconds every single time you shoot them. Probably increase that duration a little bit, and his other star power as well. And hopefully we'll see a bit more love to Gale in a meta. Okay, so next up on the buff list is Carl, and I know I made videos on him saying he was really OP when he first got buffed, but as time has gone on, Carl really does suck still in the meta. His main attack just seems too slow, and other brawlers can just counter him way too easily, like the Gene's in the meta. All these other brawlers are just way better than him at the moment. So in terms of buffs, I probably recommend either giving him more attack speed or increasing the Tara range that little bit more that he missed out on before, because he hasn't actually reverted back to his old Tara range distance. So maybe that could be a buff that he gets. But yeah, Carl's still really bad in the meta, so he's definitely in need of another buff. So next up on the buff list, as always, is going to be a Bull. So as always, I recommend that the maps need to be a little bit meta for Bull to actually be good, because of course the highest maps really don't favor him right now, but just in general, Bull is one of the worst brawlers in the game. I'll probably recommend giving him a little bit more HP increase, because we've done this with brawlers like Frank before. If you keep giving like a HP increase to Frank, and Bull just gets hard countered by basically everything right now. It doesn't serve a purpose in the meta, so something needs to be done to give him a little bit of love, because as I said, Frank's getting the love, so why isn't Bull? So next up, again, we do have a Dynamite. He's going to be appearing on this list every single time we make a video until our boy Donna actually gets some love. So you guys can know I'm probably like the worst Dynamite in the world, but in terms of competitive, Dynamite just is never used. Every single thrower is much better than him in this meta. Probably something needs to be done about how quickly his mines blow up, or give him an additional like ammo, give him more ammo to actually load, or give him more range, because Bartley got an increase in his range. Bartley was already good in the meta, but Dynamite it's just really hard to hit his shots consistently. So one of these things needs to be changed. I don't really know why that Supercell aren't buffing Dynamite, because as I said, every other thrower is one of the best brawlers in the game. So next up on the buff list needs to be Bo. So Bo got a good increase in his damage with the last set of balance changes, I think it was, but that really did nothing for him in the meta. He still really sucks. So I would recommend probably changing his gadget, because his tripwire gadget 1.5 seconds, that's a little bit too long. Maybe change it to 1 second. We don't want to buff it too much, because when a tripwire was first released, it was such a broken gadget in the game. And the same with a totem, we don't want to be increasing their gadgets too much. So for me, I'd again probably either increase his damage or increase or decrease the time it takes for those mines to blow up with trip. Alright guys, so lastly on the buff list, as well as Shelly, both of these brawlers, Primo and Shelly, are just really bad. So I'll constantly make videos about wanting to buff Primo, because it just never gets touched at all. It's really surprising to me why he hasn't been buffed in any shape of form. I always suggest to buff him with his star powers, but something more could be done with El Primo. Give him a little bit more HP, give him a little bit more range. Something needs to be done, and I feel like they're probably waiting for something big, like a bigger Primo rework or some form, because as I said, like, the range is really, really weak. Maybe they're adjusting his range or something like that. But Primo, he's been one of the worst brawlers in the game for such a long time. He needs to be buffed in some way. So first up on the nerf list, it has to be Max. So although I don't really mind Max in the meta too much, I feel like she just offers way too much versatility to other brawlers. She gets her super way too fast. And it's been a while now since they've even addressed Max in any shape or form. So as I said, I think definitely decreasing the amount of, increasing the amount of ammo it actually takes to get her super. She just gets it way too often, and probably nerfing her overcharged supercharged star power, because it just gives supers way too often for me. It just allows for too many different brawlers to synergize well together, and all the comps really rely off that max speed, so something probably needs to be done a little bit about that. But as I said, I don't really mind too much on this brawler, but it would be nice to see Max no longer meta. Okay, so next up on the nerf list, you guys probably know this for sure, how good Sandy is on ladder right now. Sandy is in need of a nerf. So with the last buff that Sandy got, literally all they changed was the supercharge rate, from changing it from 6 hits to 5 hits. Again, Sandy for me just gets way too much value. It's too versatile on so many different modes and every single comp. You can just use a Sandy and it's going to be pretty much good. And it's really annoying, like the super just gets so much pressure. They don't know where you are for so long. It lasts for 10 seconds. And by the time the super has run out, Sandy can normally cycle it, because it only takes 5 hits to get this super, as I said. So for me, definitely increase the amount of shots it takes to get this super, and Sandy will still be okay in the meta. So next up on the nerf list is of course Poco again, and just like Sandy, the super charge rate got changed about him, and to be honest, he hasn't completely like ruined the meta. He's still, well, he's really strong, but Poco double tank and other synergies with Poco aren't ruining the meta, as I said. But he's still in need of a nerf. He's just too strong in so many different game modes, especially the fact that it takes 4 shots to get your super. A lot of times with 2 pieces of ammo, you can charge that super so easily. So change that back to 5. Maybe if they want to make Poco stronger, increase something else about him. Maybe his star powers might need a little bit of love or something like that. But yeah, 4 hits to get your super is way too fast. So next up on the nerf list is Sprout. And even though he got 2 pretty good nerfs with his last set of balance changes, he's still pretty dominant in the competitive ranking. The problem is with Sprout is that a lot of times he will require a lot of skill. Some people say that Sprout isn't skillful, but in competitive it really is. It's hard to consistently hit shots all the time, as he can get countered really easily. That's why we don't really see Sprout that high of a win rate on ladder. But in terms of competitive, as I said, he's still really, really strong. So something needs to change about him. I still feel like his photosynthesis star power offers too much value. It probably needs to be nerfed in some shape of form. But yeah, any nerf for Sprout will be welcome. So next up on the nerf list is, of course, again, these are like really simple ones. Barley. Barley's range is crazy. We've seen even in the LATAM monthly finals yesterday, everyone just using Barley pretty much, well, even on these long range maps. On Backyard Bowl, who would have ever thought that you'd see a Barley on Backyard Bowl? He can just scout so many different areas with that extra range. So for sure, I would either say revert the range that he was given, or at least make it half, because it's a little bit too toxic. Like, Barley can snipe you across the map now, and to be honest, I felt like he was still pretty decent in the meta, but this has just made him too good in maps that he really shouldn't be good on. So for me, I'll just revert the range. So next up with the nerfs, we have got 8-Bit, and it's really surprising to me that 8-Bit keeps dodging these balance changes. 8-Bit's been one of the best brawlers in the game ever since Plugged In has become a thing, and they changed his damage that he does in his super to 50%. They changed that as well, and he's just been so strong. He works in so many different archetypes. He works so well in game modes like Brawl, in game modes like Gem Grab. He just, as I said, offers a little bit too much value for me. I've always said to decrease his damage back to like 40% or 30%. Like, people can just literally, especially on maps like Backyard Bowl, just camp at that turret with like a thrower or a crow or something really defensive, and it's just too defensive for me. So for sure something needs to change about that, and probably nerf either his HP or his range. Right, so into the next nerf, and you guys might be a little bit surprised by this because Crow has just recently got back into the meta. I still feel like, for me, Crow's one of those brawlers that I don't really want to be meta for too long, because the fact that he can stop your regen for such a long time is a bit of a toxic trait. But yeah, Crow is in need of a nerf for sure. On these long range maps like Backyard Bowl, like Kaboom Canyon, like Bot Drop, he is the best pick there every single time. He just works against every single archetype. So for me, he's in need of either a gadget nerf or a reduction to the amount of healing he actually stops. So it does, I think he stops 40% of healing every single time he shoots someone now. That probably needs to be reduced, as I said. And being able to slow someone for 5 seconds is so slow. You can guarantee a lane so easily. Just hit someone once, slow them, and you're going to be able to get that kill every single time. So probably reduce it to like 3.5 seconds or something like that. But I don't want to nerf him too much because it's still pretty nice to see Crow in the meta. Okay, so next up we have the strongest brawler in the meta at the moment. It is Belle. Belle is crazy OP right now. She's got everything. She's got the ability to snipe people across the map. She's got the ability just to bounce through people. But everything about her is really OP. So you can nerf her in multiple ways. Me, the big one is the reload speed. I feel like her reload speed is just way too fast. Like, if you compare it to the likes of Piper, she's going to be able to compete against her so much easier. She just offers way too much versatility on the map. So for me, get rid of that reload speed. It's too fast. Maybe nerf the damage as well. And as well, I think a broken mechanic is when Belle shoots like the Ike or the high safe. It just rebounds off the high safe and then rebounds on to the brawlers as well. I feel like we need to remove that mechanic because it can be really hard on maps like Kaboom Canyon and Safe Zone. If there's a Belle just sat there shooting the safe constantly, it's so hard to actually push them back. You're just going to keep control for so long. So probably removing that mechanic can be really good on the heist and Ike safe. Right, guys, so jumping into the next nerf, and the next one for me needs to be Stu. So Stu has been OP for a long time in the meta. I feel like he's not as good as he once was. So I'd only recommend a small nerf, probably to like his gadgets or his star powers, because as I said, I feel like he's a little bit overrated in this meta. He's still a good pick. He's still really versatile. That's the best thing about him. So probably slightly nerfing his star power or gadget would be sufficient. Right, guys, so moving into the final nerf, and it really saddens me to say it, Gene. Gene is a little bit too versatile right now. Even though it takes him 4 shots to get his super, he can pretty much be used everywhere. So Gene, I probably would say either revert the damage boost that they gave him, or probably either indirect nerfs to him. So make other mids actually good in the game, because as I said, these archetypes with like Max and just in general, him just being able to be in every single comp is a little bit too much for me. As a Gene main, I'm going to say this. So yeah, probably some form of way is in need of a small nerf. Alright, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below to these suggestions. As I said, I'm hoping for some balance changes pretty soon, so look out for a video on that one. It's got to be around the corner. It just has to be. It's been so long. But that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.